You're listening to episode 3 of the Women's Fitness Podcast with Kelly Bakewell PT and Iszi Lawrence. The information in this podcast should not be taken instead of medical advice. We are not doctors, just passionate about fitness, progress and feeling good. You can find out more about us at womensfitnesspodcast.com, but for now, time for some real talk about the mess, stress and silliness that will get you achieving your goals. And now, and keep an eye on it a little bit. So, hello everybody and welcome to episode 3.
Yes,
It's
indeed.
a magic number.
Is it? Who made it magic?
I don't know. I think possibly Jesus.
Oh, okay, he was pretty magic. He did.
Yeah.
He was a zombie.
Exactly, because you had God and you had the Holy Spirit before him, but you didn't have the triumvirate. I did a show at Dulwich Picture Gallery where there is a picture of St Barbara, and St Barbara,
Good old Bobs.
exactly, she was killed primarily because of a bathroom decoration fiasco,
Right.
where her dad told her to decorate the bathhouse and she put 3 windows in it, and that meant he knew they represented the, I don't mean triumvirate, do I? The Trinity.
The Trinity,
Yeah,
the Holy Trinity.
The
I am
Holy
Catholic. Well, I was
exactly.
Catholic.
Well, exactly. So, and curiously, I'm also Catholic, but only accidentally.
Oh.
My parents aren't Catholic or anything, but I got baptised by a mad monk with some Tetley in Durham.
It's very important.
So I am technically Catholic. I think that makes
We only
me.
have Tetley in the north. We
Oh.
do everything with Tetley.
Well, exactly. This is, but Holy Tetley. It's got
Yeah.
to be good. But anyway, so she put 3 windows in, and she died for that reason. And that is why we're talking about 3, because it was the 3rd podcast. There we
Yeah,
go.
I got really distracted by a cat in a box.
Oh, sorry.
Casually
yes.
came in and I'm like, oh, cat!
That
Amazing.
is Susan.
Yeah, hi Susan
That
in
is
a box.
Susan in her box.
It's very difficult to concentrate when there's an animal in the room.
I'm sorry.
I'm just going to stare at the bunny that we've put on the mic as my focal point.
Exactly. We have put a tiny little Lego bunny on the microphone so that we, because there's always a theme of rabbits and gym bunnies when you talk about women's fitness.
And you didn't have any googly eyes. So.
I am knackered because I've just spent the afternoon punching Brian, who's my PT, because he basically looked at me and said, "Are you all right?" And I went, "No." And he went, "Do you want to kick me?" And I went, "Yes." So we practiced kicks and the rest of it. But I spent the entire weekend doing jiu-jitsu up in Sheffield, and got quite drunk. Well, no, the other people did. I didn't. I remained annoyingly teetotal at the moment.
That's impressive for the north as well.
Well, it's one of these things that makes, because they always encourage you to drink and then do a lot of intense exercise.
Oh, is that before?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then after, and then they go on a really long hike. Well,
Sometimes
not really
during.
long. Yeah. No, not during.
Never during.
No, never drink in the dojo, and that's water as well as alcohol.
Yeah.
That's so annoying. And we were discussing, because there's a problem. We've got a problem about female black belts, and there's a lack of them, and there's also the perception that when women get their black belt, it's because they are women and not because they've actually earned it, which is frustrating.
I mean, that is quite difficult because you can't accidentally get a black belt. It's not like you can just flash a bit of chest and then get a black belt.
Oh no, it isn't, and it is also it's that noise you can hear is a cat jumping in and out of a box, but it's that thing of. Like in jiu-jitsu, because it's not like judo where you only fight women, so you are in a circle doing techniques on both men and women. You're doing V's where you're doing techniques on both men and women. They'll say demonstrate this throw, and they'll do it on men and women.
Oh no, we had to do it with men because there weren't that many women in. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
that was me clanging the floor. There weren't that many women in judo really at that time, other than in competitions. So going for our belts, that was kind of similar having to fight men.
And it's just not fair.
It's not the same.
They've got massive grips. For one.
Plus, they manage to punch you in the cleavage quite often.
They're aiming for your floating rib.
Yeah.
It's always
Or
that thing as
lapels.
well. It's that thing of when I have to kick them in the balls and not kick them in the balls. You're always like, I will do a kick and I won't kick them in the balls because that is what you're thinking about. That is where you kick
Always.
them. Exactly. So it's like I must not punch her in the tit. I will punch her in the tit. It's yes, tit is a technical word.
It's very technical.
Exactly. But it is a real. There's a difficulty because there are far fewer. Like, starting out, it's about 50-50. Sometimes it's even more women start out because they think, oh, this is self-defence, this will be useful. and then gradually get a drop. And I think part of it is what happens is that some women get to, you finish university and you're only at blue belt level max, really, and then you've got to work for your brown and your black belt after that. And we have lives and boys don't.
Do you think it's also like the older you get, the less you want to get punched in the face and marked when you're going out on a night out and you've got a black eye?
Possibly, but most of the jiu seeker I know are very proud of their bruises.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you be?
Exactly, it's very exciting. I've got so many cool ones, all from bad break falling. Sharp. I had a really nice one on my wrist because we were doing knife defence blocks, and it ended up, because I was getting it bruised on one bit of my arm, bruised on another bit of my arm, it ended up I just rotated my wrist slightly so it looked like somebody had bitten me.
Oh, awesome.
I had a nice little semicircular thing. But yeah, it's just a frustrating thing because I do think you can't, compare like for like in the same way. I don't think it's right, because we do have, as women, slower reaction times to men. I mean, like Venus Williams is the best tennis player on the planet, but she is not as good as, ranked 200th man.
I mean, that could have something to do with muscle twitch fibres. I did read something the other day about the recruitment of muscle twitch fibres in women compared to men. So fast twitch versus slow twitch. Yes, I did it without. It was a tongue twister.
Nice. Fast twitch versus slow twitch. So men have much more fast twitch fibres.
Possibly. I think I'm still kind of going through the research on it because it is quite interesting, but I need to do a bit more digging to find out why that is.
All I know is that I know that men have got faster reaction times. They've definitely got better grip, and they're definitely stronger.
We're talking like for like. We're not talking like.
Like for like, it's even worse.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, that was what we were talking about last week with upper body strength.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely stronger than some men, especially in the gym. I'll be lifting weights that are more than them, but that won't be someone that pretty much weighs the same and the same sort of build.
Yeah. There aren't that many men with your build.
That is true.
But not many men with your hips.
No, they'd be pretty happy men.
They'd be quite diddly though.
Yes. Tiny men.
Yes. But no, I just think it's a sort of like a challenge really of how you square that in your head of just going, okay, so if I do work my arse off and get to a point where I am going to get, the bigger belts, I'm going to be considered a bit rubbish.
Yeah, I think women have kind of got that almost to compete with in everything. Yeah. I remember when I was a financial advisor, I'd won, that was quite a while ago, I'd won the top of the leagues and everyone was like, oh, she must be fooling around with the boss. I'm like, okay, cool.
That's
obviously.
Nice, thanks. Yeah.
But in sport, I think I remember seeing a meme, because I'm well into my memes, and it was
she means meme.
Oh, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
that's how I say it, but then I think that might be an accent thing.
Mem.
It could be Mimi.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but I think it's meme.
Okay, so let us know how you say it.
Exactly. Is it a GIF or a GIF?
GIF.
Yeah, I'll say GIF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a what it would be like if men were treated like women in sport interviews, and it's just this woman going to this guy. No, you look a lot prettier if you smiled.
Yeah. No, somebody said that to me this weekend.
Oh my god.
I was in a family because we'd spent 6 hours trying to get to this place, and traffic and everything, and I was like, quite tired as well because I'd done a show the night before, and I was offering tea, and they said, you should cheer up and smile a bit. You're at summer school, and it's like, did you just tell me to smile?
I know.
I'm going to spit in your tea.
Did you spit in his tea?
I didn't, unfortunately, but he didn't know if I did or not.
Thumbs up or wink with one eye if you really did.
The next day I did accidentally, and it was an accident, poke him in the eye, so I felt a bit better after that.
I can't.
But I think he was slightly apologetic, but not really. So there. So we should answer some questions. I mean, maybe I'm just in a mood because it's my time of the month.
Oh,
because it is before your time of the month that you're in a mood, and then it's your time of the month you're in a mood because you're in pain.
Yeah, I've got this. I've downloaded this app. It's called Clue, and it helpfully tells you exactly when your PMS is going to be.
Oh, nice.
But followed by some clouds, obviously, because the clouds come over you in your PMS time.
Indeed. Well,
Yeah.
it's you know, my trouble is that I got an amenorrhea, which was induced by the doctor because of my anemia. So they gave me progesterone pills and that sort of thing. And now I've come off the pills, and it hasn't worked yet. So I'm working up on trying to get my cycle back and everything else. So I'm.
Oh, fun times.
I know. So like it's bad because every time you go anywhere, you've still got to pack just in case it might happen. Because you've got no idea. Other than, because I'm in a bit of a mood, but then I'm in a bit of the mood because I'm bloody, you know, I've got loads of work and all the rest of it. And
I always know because I want to eat everything in the house. If I only have cornflakes and jam, I'm having cornflakes with jam.
that does sound quite
I
good,
know.
though. That sounds like
Maybe it is nearly
excellent
time for
meal.
you.
But okay, so we've got this email, and it is about. Well, we didn't get an email; it was a comment on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
There is a Facebook group. Find us. It is Women's Fitness Podcast.
Rolls off the tongue.
Exactly. Or you can use hashtag #OneFitPod.
Yeah,
which is one better. So Laura says, love the podcast. Well, obviously, the first episode was a doozy. Can't wait for the next one. Would love to know more about the female cycle and exercise. So what to do when and what not to do, etc. So, yeah. How does our cycle affect our training other than wanting to eat jam?
I mean, jam is delicious.
It is good.
And it would probably give you a bit of energy to get through.
So you're being mean to me now because I'm on low carb. So, you know, jam is...
Jam is pretty carb high.
It is rather.
I'm not going to go into the macros because after my epic fail of 7...
I know that.
alcohol
I've corrected it.
and
Don't
9
worry.
gram.
There is a correction in there.
Fail.
Yes.
Well, when you have kind of your time of the month, it's quite cycular. I'm not going to try and say that word again because I always
Secular.
Secular.
Secular, cycular.
Secular cycle.
Bicycular.
Usually lasts between 0 and 28 days.
Unless you're an Izzy.
Yeah, or actually most people, to be honest. But medically speaking,
Medically
that's
speaking,
what it's supposed to do.
Because it never did for
No,
me.
no.
I was always irregular.
No.
Never just random like, oh, okay.
It'll always
But
be
we're
like,
doing that now.
you'll be 5 days of bleeding. No, sometimes 3, sometimes 7.
Oh, once or twice 14. Not good. Not good.
Not fun. But if we are going 0 to 28, then the first 0 to 14 days is when you're in your follicular stage.
So that is when the egg is coming out of its follicle.
Yes.
Hence follicular.
I
is
don't
a
like
good
thinking of it as a
name.
follicle because that just makes me think of hair.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's
weird.
literally like pulling out a hair, the egg is released.
Ew.
Like you know, like one of those tweezer videos on YouTube.
Brilliant. I mean, I feel weird about that now. some real education.
Yeah.
But generally, that is when you will have less muscle soreness or less DOMS, which is pretty good. Your appetite won't be mental, it's slightly
Cool.
decreased. You can manage insulin better, which I think in a podcast going forward we should have a good chat about insulin because
Yeah.
it's a pretty interesting subject, but it needs a good talk about it.
It is diabetes and the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, the short of it is how glucose is turned into energy or used as energy in your body. So, basics, very basics.
Just,
And
you know, molecular science, guys.
Yeah, I
we
know,
can,
just
we can handle that.
tiny bit of science.
We're drinking tea and there's a tiny rabbit on the microphone.
yeah, exactly.
I will take
we
a
can do
photo
this.
of the rabbit.
He's so tiny.
He's very. He came with Lego because I like Lego, and that is. So I get Lego because I'm a child.
I mean, Lego is
That's
good.
my first ever Lego bunny. I'm very happy. Anyway, sorry.
The other thing,
Follicular.
yes, is that you tend to use carbs more
Okay.
as an energy source.
Okay, so that's when I should have my porridge for breakfast.
Yes. So if you are doing cycle training, then that would be the time when you would probably look more at doing your strength training. And the strongest time is generally, we kind of covered a little bit of this in the first
So
one,
does
but
it
it's on
include-
that kind of 14th.
Okay,
Yeah.
so is day one, for an idiot, the day when you first start to bleed, or is it when you first stop bleeding?
Pretty sure it's when you stop.
Okay. So that is day one of the follicular period.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It's when it's all starting to...
Because
again.
I find basically, you know, it's usually after the cramps have stopped that I start to feel fine again and start to feel quite good.
Yeah, I mean, some people only have cramps for like a day or
Yeah,
so.
those people can go for themselves.
Go for
lucky,
themselves.
lucky ladies. Some people don't get them.
Yeah, they can do one.
Yeah, I know. Just
Love
what?
you all, really.
I know,
but,
we
yeah.
do. We're just jealous.
All inclusive.
Yeah.
And then the 14 to 28 is when you're on your luteal phase and your body temperature increases.
Ooh.
So that's that time when, when you're in bed and you're like, I'm too hot, no, I'm too cold, I'm going to stick one leg out.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's pretty.
That is basically you saying, I can't get comfortable, I'll take all my clothes off and because I'm fertile.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just going to hang one leg out of the bed and get really annoyed and can't sleep.
Yeah.
Joys. But it does mean that your metabolism is increased.
Ooh.
But not by as much as you would think.
Oh.
Because everyone wants to go mad and eat more, and they say it's fine, I can eat loads because it's my time of the month. It's only increased by about 100 to 300 calories.
But that's a good amount.
It is, but generally people will overeat by 300 to 600 calories.
Oh, that's not good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that you will crave carbs, but actually you will tend to use fat as the energy source. So then you're insulin resistant, so you'll tend to store your carbs as sugars.
As fat, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it we'll go into the insulin thing, but it does
Yeah.
go to kind of glucose to like liver and that sort of thing.
Okay. And the liver converts it to fats and then it just stores it up in your
Exactly
fat
that,
cells. And then you get nice and curvy.
Plus you get really tired, which is just quite sad.
Which is also why you eat sugar. I find whenever I'm tired, I just go for sugar. That's what I want.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But at this time of the month, that would be a bad thing to do because I wouldn't be able to process it.
Yeah, and the downside is that when you are your strongest is usually like midway through your cycle. So you'll have like a really impressive day, but you'll be more prone to injury because your muscles will be that little bit more relaxed, especially your ACL we spoke about before and the knee.
Yeah.
That's when you can do your knees in, but you feel like well strong.
Okay, so that's really annoying.
Yeah, and then throughout the luteal phase, you won't be as strong. You can be like up to 60% less
Really?
on like your 1 rep max and everything. Yeah, there's days when I'll go into the gym and I can maybe only bench press for 35, 40.
Because I have weird, even though I'm sort of, hormonally all mixed
Challenged.
up right now. Hormonally challenged.
Hormonally challenged.
And challenged in a lot of other ways too. I do find that, there are some days I'm just like, hey, there's 70, I can do 2 reps of 70. Boom, pump those out, look at me.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I'm struggling to do 1 rep of 50.
Yeah, it would be worth having a look and seeing where you are on your cycle. But
But I don't know. That's the
yeah,
other
exactly.
thing.
There's other things
me.
that factor into it though as well. Like if you're tired, you've just not had enough sleep, that's going to affect your performance. Depending what time you ate.
Day.
Exactly. If you've had any carbs.
Yeah. What do you reckon to carbs then? Is it good to carb up? Because there's lots of different advice with carbs and exercise. One is to eat a lot before you go to the gym, and the other is to eat a lot after you go to the gym in terms of carbs and proteins and stuff. What do you do?
Well, I did start off actually doing the carbon up before I went to the gym. And then I tried carbon up after I went to the gym. But realistically, it's gonna take in, if you're doing kind of weight loss, anything like that, it's your total for the day. Like your body doesn't really care. It's like that thing when people go, don't eat carbs after 7 o'clock. It's like, well, when's your body going to sleep? Like, is it just stopped functioning? It's gone, no lads, 7 o'clock now, well.
Yeah.
They haven't got a clock, they don't know. So there are, if you're like really finely tuning things, so if you're competing, you might want to look at kind of meal timings, whether you're having it before or after. There's a lot of science out there that says that actually they haven't seen that much of a spike by having like a protein shake straight after, because they've kind of dismissed the metabolic window, which was kind of this thing that people used to say, going, you have to drink a protein shake within 30 minutes of working out, otherwise you will die. Or your muscles will shrivel away.
You lose your gains, bro.
I know, you have to pray to Brodin.
Well, I remember seeing there was a BBC documentary called, it's like Ask Your Doctor or something like that. It was about, and what they did was really interesting. They gave regular gym goers, so not athletes, just regular gym goers, protein shakes or just stuff without protein in it that tasted similar. And they also did tests where this was braver than they did some one-leg pistol squats.
I love a pistol squat.
Exactly, 1 leg pistol squat, and they drank a protein shake.
While in doing it, or
No,
after it?
Just after.
Oh, okay, good.
And then they bored out some of the muscle in the leg.
I nearly choked on my tea then.
Exactly,
Actually,
that's-
for real.
Exactly, it did not look pleasant. And they tested it, and the actual proteins from the protein shake had gone straight into that muscle.
Yeah, protein shakes are highly absorbed, quick kind of protein, because obviously it's not going through like a chicken breast that's then got to be processed.
Yeah.
But the meal timing thing isn't as strict now as kind of they've thought.
Yeah, well, exactly. So the gym goers, though, who some of them had been to the gym quite a lot, some of them hadn't, and they were split into random groups, and they didn't know it's double-blind placebo, not a trial, the placebo being the protein shake without the protein in it, and there was no difference.
Yeah.
Between those two groups in terms of performance, so it's interesting. I like them though. I think psychologically, it's like I think half the time when I take my pre and things like that, would like do take a load of caffeine before going to the gym. I think it's mainly psychological.
Oh yeah,
rather
I
than
live for pre-workouts. I actually live for them.
She's got some with her.
I do, but I can't take it now because it's like 7 o'clock, and then I'll be up at 1 o'clock jumping around looking at cat videos on YouTube and dancing like a whale.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know how a whale dances
I
or why
think
that was
it
the
would
first
be-
thing that came to my
It's just
head.
interesting, isn't it? Yeah, but dancing like a whale does make sense because if you're in your bed and you're
Yeah,
flopping
exactly.
about,
I mean, that must have been what I was thinking of.
Exactly, must have been.
But I like to have a banana kind of before a workout because just psychologically it makes me feel like I've got a bit more energy.
Yeah.
And then I have my protein shake generally after because again, psychologically it
Oh,
makes me feel like
I'm getting gains.
I'm getting gains. Plus,
Yeah.
mine's delicious.
Yeah.
It's like French vanilla. It tastes like melted ice cream.
That sounds,
So it's pretty tasty.
I tend to make things though. I'll make banana bread and I'll put protein powder in it.
Oh, nice.
And like when I do make porridge, which hasn't been recently because I've been trying to go low carb.
Oh yeah.
And I'm seeing a difference, I think, in
Yeah?
terms of strength. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing,
feeling
like,
stronger.
Just play around with what suits you.
It's psychological though. I'm not going crazy because, like as we said in a previous book, keto is like 15 grams a day, and that's ridiculous. I'm going for like over 100 grams a day. I'm like 120 or something, so it's quite a lot, but it's not a lot.
120 grams of protein.
No, of carbs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 120 to 140,
Oh,
depending.
right, yeah.
That's my range. And yeah, it's good, but on the other hand, you do want jam.
Yeah, I mean,
When
some
people
people
say
respond
jam.
really well to it. It's personal preference because if you're doing,
Sleep better.
do you?
Yeah.
Well, it's like we said about weight loss. It's calories in, calories out. It doesn't matter how you do it, but how you feel is
Yes.
different. So low carb, high fats, whatever. Just play around with whatever makes you feel good. But weight wise, calories in, calories out.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so glad you agree with that. 'Cause
It's
it would have been,
actual science.
this was my
Actual
fear when we
science.
started the podcast. Was like, oh my god, what if she's like, and then you've got to take like the homotherapy thing and pray to the moon and only drink.
Three
I've
turns
heard-
at a turnstile
my-
and bury
my-
a stone.
Yeah, my favourite bit of woo I've heard it down the gym was a guy going, yeah, we should just eat pineapple because that shreds fat. It's like, what?
It attacks your mouth as you eat it.
Well,
Pineapple's an
exactly.
alien and it eats your face.
It does eat it, but that was his argument. He was like, yeah, because, it attacks all the thing. Imagine what it does to your body fat. I'm just like, it's going in your stomach.
Yeah.
Like, your stomach can eat through bone.
Yeah, I think it's got that.
And he was like, but it's still really good, right? And I was like, it's whatevs.
Yeah, you do what you want to do, mate.
Exactly, but yeah, there's really no sort of cheating nature. It's quite
No, that is like pretty science.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of we might get quite a few people say, "Oh, this is not how you do that," or disagreeing with us, and you people are wrong. But seriously, there are more than one way to skin a cat. She's not in here,
No,
so
she's
I'm allowed
not.
to say that. It's
We're
fine.
okay.
So there are different ways of getting the same sort of thing, especially in fitness. A lot of people have different views. As long as it's not dangerous, and there are certain things that have been scientifically proven, but there are other things that there's still a lot of reports out on, like meal timings, that sort of thing. So it's seeing what works best for you.
And presumably that also works with your cycle as well a little bit.
Yeah.
So, because it's I tend to think, okay, you can't take, if your insulin's not as good and you shouldn't be eating carbs, but you're craving carbs, denying yourself that might be more psychologically damaging and
Oh,
hold
yeah.
you back further than maybe, okay, you're going to put on a little bit of weight this time of the month and then probably lose it again because you're, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for women, definitely mental state is far more important because that will then dictate, even if you go to the gym the next day. Like, if you're feeling good and you're like, well, I've had some carbs, I'll go and work the carbs off, then that can make you feel good. So I would go mental first. Go mental first.
Hang on.
Hashtag mental first.
No, okay. And by go mental first, she means don't go mental. She means
Yes.
look after your mental.
Exactly that.
Yes. Head before body.
Mm-hmm.
Do you tend to take a day off on your first day if you've got cramps and stuff? You power through, don't you?
I tend to only because I get really, really bad cramps. And because I've had stage 3 pre-cancer cells burn out.
Oh, wow.
So I get, like, everything's a bit weird in there anyway. So I get really, really bad cramps. And then obviously with the fibromyalgia, I tend to suffer a little bit more with kind of back, and everything hurts that bit more.
So those people who don't know what fibromyalgia is, talk about fibromyalgia, because I don't have it. And is that the one where you've got uterus tissue elsewhere other than your uterus?
No, that's
fibrous. Fibroids? No.
Yeah, fibroids.
Okay.
Fibromyalgia is pretty much a chronic illness. It's of the whole body.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it's quite difficult to get a doctor to diagnose you with it. I got diagnosed and then asked to speak at a college in Edinburgh to the trainee doctors about a young person living with a chronic illness. And it basically means that everything hurts. So that is a broad thing, because there's so many different aspects of it. Like, we should probably chat about our respective things in more detail at some point.
We're there's loads wrong with, just because we're women's fitness.
Oh God, yeah.
Doesn't. But I found that almost all of my problems have been made better, apart from the anemia, which came up because I tried to get fit.
Yeah.
That was because otherwise it wouldn't be a problem. If I didn't exercise, I wouldn't sweat out so much iron.
Just get that iron in.
Yeah, but I think I'm all right at the moment.
Oh, that's good.
By all right, I mean like minimum levels of.
I mean, that's winning though.
Yeah, it's good.
We can all
Still
just
healthy.
aspire to minimum levels of everything.
No, we must be strong. Great. Talking of getting stronger and everything else, and obviously, if you guys suffer from fibromyalgia, maybe Kelly has some tips for you.
So many tips.
Exactly. Have you got a question for us? Get in touch on Facebook. Find us on Instagram using the hashtag WOMFITPod. That is WOMFITPOD. And on Twitter at WOMFITPod. Or go to the website womensfitnesspodcast.com. This was an excellent question that we got anonymously.
Anonymously.
It was through the website, but it says, which is womensfitnesspodcast.com. There you go. You can also get in touch on Tumblr. So I'm 3 months into lifting 3 times a week, so still a newbie. I'm struggling to do a barbell squat at 27.5 kilograms. When I joined the gym, they said I had stability issues in my clicky hips, as well as my tight hamstrings. Generic.
Yeah.
As it is hard to keep the weight on the back of my heels, and often find myself using my quads to get the push up, as well as fighting my knees coming in. They've given me a program to help correct this, but are there other things I can do to help? Thanks. And it's anonymous, but it's K. But that might be okay, or she might have missed the X for a kiss, because I was expecting a kiss, but it's fine. It's fine.
We don't care.
I'm not needy. So I know what you're going to say about bands around the knees.
Well, do you know, the majority of people that are new to lifting come to me not being able to do a squat. Does not mean that they've got stability issues, or, I mean, a lot of people have tight hamstrings, fair enough. Most people cannot do a squat if they've never done one before, because you basically forget how to do that movement. And within about 2 sessions of working with me, we generally can do a squat from not even working on hamstrings or clicky hips. It's a lot of it is understanding kind of mechanics, and trust in yourself that you're not going to fall over, because a lot of it is psychological. A lot of people think they're either going to fall forward, fall backwards with a barbell on them.
Yeah.
So you're not really letting yourself kind of get into the movement. And sitting back on your heels is, it's quite an easy thing to do, but you have to kind of practice it. Because if you think about where kind of your centre of mass, or like gravity sort of thing is mid-foot. So if you're on your tiptoes, someone pushes you, you probably fall over. If you're rocking on your heels, someone pushes you, fall over. If you're like mid-heel, flat, nice and stable. So when we're doing a squat, we kind of want the weight to be, I tend to favour a low bar squat.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I go down, the weight is pretty much, if you do a straight line down, be over my midfoot. Then as I drive back up, it's a straight line up and down. So the centre of force, up and down, much stronger. Less on and off balance.
Mm. What do you think is a good way? Because I remember when I first learned to squat, which does sound ridiculous, but I found I was, my legs were dead straight. I was bending at the waist. I was kind of like almost doing a good morning, and not bending my knees because they hurt. And then what I found was good, and it got me the fear of falling backwards, because that's what I didn't want to do. That's what I was worried I was going to do. I found using a kettlebell and doing goblet squats.
Yeah, goblet squats. That's a great way to learn. Just to get used to sitting back in your heels a little bit. That would tend to get you more to do a vertical squat, like a high bar squat.
Yeah.
It's difficult to kind of assess for this person, because obviously I've not seen their form. And everyone's going to squat a bit different because you've got different levers. Yeah. So someone with a short femur is going to squat differently to someone with a long femur.
And femur is your thigh leg
leg
bone.
bones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a type of cool
to
lemur.
Yeah.
It is.
Or a female lemur.
Or a female lemur.
Yeah,
femurs. You got femurs in Madagascar, and also between your knee and your hips. That's the longest bone in your body.
And especially with you, because you're tall.
Oh, gosh.
If you tried to do a certain type of squat, you would basically fold in half and be in like a really bad position for your back.
I'm like deck chair lady.
There's no way you could do like ass to grass squats, which is what is known as going ridiculously low, which I don't agree with, because Olympic standard is parallel.
Yeah.
You don't need to have your ass on the floor.
I get what they refer to as butt wink.
Oh yeah.
So I can get down there, but I can't do it without my pelvis tilting.
Most people have that, and that you're getting yourself in a bad position. That's why I don't really agree with ass to grass squats, because they're not amazing for your knees. They're not amazing for your back. If you have your barbell kind of on your posterior deltoids, so like I'm trying to break this down. Hold on, I'm just touching myself.
It is. She's basically touching bra strap level.
No, it's kind of like the fleshy bit. You know what where the scapula is? When if you put your hand behind, you can feel your shoulder blade. Basically, there's a little ridge on your shoulder blade. Put it there. It doesn't feel amazing, to be honest.
It's horrible. I tend to use, like, if I'm a coward, I'll use the nice cushiony wrap that you can get for the barbell if it's a really heavy lift.
It's kind of nice to be able to feel the bar, because you want to almost pretend you're trying to like wrap the bar around you, like in X-Men, so you're pretending you can bend the bar.
Nice.
So you're trying to like shove it into you so that you're not holding it with your hands, because your arms shouldn't be holding the barbell up. So if you've got it in this position on your back, you want your elbows kind of in and by your sides.
Okay.
So as you go down, you're kind of making quite a nice V shape. So you are going to bend into it a little bit, but you'll find that as you bend, your back will still be straight, and you want to do something that's called hip drive. So the whole taking it away from your quads, your stance will be just over hip width apart. Your feet will be turned out about 30 degrees. As you come down, your knees will track outwards, and that'll stop your knees coming in. As you get down, you'll find that when you have that hip drive, use your posterior chain, which is your butt, lower back, hips, much more than your quads.
And hamstrings.
Yeah, and hamstrings. You'll get a point where you will load your hamstrings, so you'll feel them almost have like a springy energy in them. So as you hip drive back up, think about your hips pushing, everything connected to your hips, pushing back up. That's kind of how I would get into my squat, rather than trying to keep completely upright or folding over. And don't look up, don't look straight ahead. Look kind of about 6 to 8 feet in front of you, slightly down.
Yeah.
and only look at that spot, and you won't lose your balance. Because if you think about like dancers, they look at one spot, so they're not losing their balance. If you're looking all over the place while you're doing a squat or staring at yourself in the mirror, you will lose balance at some point. Just focus on the floor, stare at it all the way through, and you'll find that your balance is loads better.
Cool. But they're tricky. My left leg, if I go very heavy, starts to shake as well. And I think that's just the stability muscles and knees and things like that aren't quite there yet. And so I've been pistol squats. If you can do them on a TRX,
Yeah, one leg ones.
Yeah, I think they've been helping a little bit try and stabilise me, or doing those deadlifts that you get us to do in glutes class.
Yeah, the
single leg
ones. Yeah.
So describe a single leg deadlift.
Oh, it's horrific. We'll hold a kettlebell. Basically, use like a hip hinge movement, which when I'm teaching deadlifts, straight leg deadlifts, or kind of the first part of a Romanian deadlift, the first part of a deadlift, I always try and tell people that instead of bending at the top of your back, you basically push your hips back. So you push your bum back. So if you imagine, like, you know, in Carry On films when they go and pick up a pencil and their whole bum comes backwards, that is the look you are trying to achieve.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, so whole bum comes backwards, that's how you bend over.
Yeah, because it's amazing when you do it, because you just don't think I need to look at, like, reach what's on the ground, just think I need to get my arse over there.
Yeah.
And you will bend.
Exactly. So it's hips back, and it's just such an awesome movement, because you're actually quite strong from doing that as well. So hips back, and then that's a hip hinge rather than kind of sitting through a movement. So you'd kind of sit with your deadlift, hip hinge a bit more. Sit with your squat, hip hinge with a deadlift. But the single leg one, as one leg comes up, you're kind of hip hinging over with a kettlebell in the hand and using that as balance, and then kind of pulling it back up,
countering it.
Yes, sort of countering it.
It's worth YouTubing that one.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
not really sure.
It's really hard to describe it in words.
I mean, this is. I should also add Iszi psychology of going, I think these helped with my squats, and Kelly sort of went, I don't think those helped with your squats, but I can see. But they do seem to, because particularly you're doing them on one leg, they kind of make your leg work to stabilise you.
Yeah, I mean,
which is why I think it might be useful if you've got your knees coming in.
I think it might be. If your knees are coming in, I genuinely think that might be something to do with how far down you're going. So technically, as you come down, your hip crease should kind of be creasing just where the top of your knee is, so where your patella is, which is the top of your kneecap basically. Yeah. So as you come down, your hip will start to crease. That should be
as in literally the skin.
Yeah. You'll get like a hip crease.
Yeah.
That should be just a little bit further down than the top of your knee. That is enough for a squat.
Don't go any lower. So
yeah, because if you go lower, you can get knee slide. So you kind of knee start sliding forwards, and that's why squats get people get hurty knees or like patella tendonitis from squats, and then they go, squats hurt your knees. Yeah, they do if you go down too far.
It's because your quads give up, and then
because like Astergrass has been such a fad, and everyone like screaming at people going, you have to get your ass on the floor, and you're like, well, you can see that that's not a particularly strong position, because basically I'm just going to use my knees to try and stand up now with this heavy weight, and my bum's like right down there. What am I using to stand up?
Your patella tendon instead of your quads.
Exactly.
And patella tendon, believe me, hurts a lot. The good thing about patella tendon is it's really hard to actually damage. But
I hurt mine a lot.
Very easy to inflame.
Yeah, I pull mine all the time because I have a quite tight quad, which is basically everyone that complains about a hurty knee. I get them to foam roll before they start working out, and they go, "Oh my god, I've got no knee pain." I'm like, "Ta-da!"
Yeah,
like work magic.
It's because basically, if you've got knee pain in the front of your knee, if you attack your quads as hard as you can with a foam roller, it basically means that they go, oh, okay, we'll engage now.
Yeah, because basically it is just your, well, it can be, yeah, I covered myself there, can be your quad going into your knee, pulling it up, and which gives you hurty knee, which you then wouldn't necessarily go, oh yeah, that's because of my quad, because your quad doesn't hurt, your knee does. It took me quite a long time to find this out.
Yeah, no, ditto. I've my knee's been hurting on and off for ages, and I find running aggravates it as well, weirdly. But I think that's just
pulley quads.
Yeah. horrible polycords. So I hope that helps. I also want, I would also suggest, just because I know Kelly and I know her classes, that possibly getting a band for your knees, and that helps, because wouldn't it actively make her think about pushing out?
It does it can do, yeah. I mean, I sometimes use a
band.
hip circle 2.0, which is a ridiculous resistance band, but it can help you kind of activate abductors, adductors as well a little bit more, which is like inside side, outside side, inside outside.
Inside and outside there. Because basically what it is, you can do this at home right now even if you don't have a band. What you need is an old pair of knickers, which fall down really easily. Put them round your knee sort of area, and then do a squat as if you're going to the loo, and try and keep the knickers from falling down your legs. That is what...
I've just visioned that and I didn't need to.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't endorse that.
Okay. Or just get a resistance band. You can get them on Amazon, and you want quite a thick one, don't you?
You want what is called the very heavy, which isn't actually that heavy.
No.
But if you're doing kind of glute activations as well, can help, because your glutes are basically very lazy. And I am obsessed with glutes. It's like my thing. If you can get them to start kicking in and working, it can help reduce back pain, and we'll do a whole thing on glutes because I love them.
Yes.
But primarily, a lot of the time your quads will be very dominant and will tend to try and take over in exercises because you haven't woken your glutes up or they're not strong enough. So you can do some glute activations before doing your squats as well, just to kind of get them to kickstart and wake up a bit. So like clams, just YouTube these.
Yeah.
Clams, kickbacks, donkey kicks, fire hydrants.
It's so,
sexy names.
I know. The names of some of these exercises are ridiculous. Fire hydrants, literally, because you look like you're about to pee on a fire hydrant like a dog.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. It's all slightly ridiculous. So I hope that helps you, Anonymous K, with your squatting. But you will get it. Just don't put suppression. Another thing you can do is you can, if you get like a chair that's slightly too low, or
like
a
box squats.
Yeah,
box squats can help people kind of with thinking about the depth that they're going to, but then a lot of people don't like them because you don't really get the feeling of a squat.
Yeah,
so it can help you kind of get to depth and to kind of...
So basically all you're doing is sitting down but slowly.
Yeah, and then standing back up.
Yeah.
Which I think they're good for getting depth, and for people who are convinced they can't squat, I will use them after I've done goblet squats to get them used to the feeling of sitting down with something on their back.
There's also getting yourself to wiping your bum on the thing behind you rather than bending at the waist, which is what I would always try to do. Is that thing of...
I mean, you do have to bend at the waist with a low bar squat.
You do.
You do bend at the waist down, but you're doing it because you haven't gone all the way down. You're still maintaining the balance of the weight above midfoot. Because you've bent at the waist, but you've not sat down then to try and get ass to grass, therefore bringing yourself back off balance. So as long as you're doing that lower bar squat, you can bend at the waist, just don't bend in like your upper back.
Indeed. It's difficult to describe using podcasts, but what we might do is...
Basically Google a low bar squat.
Well, what we could do is on the Facebook group, we can put some videos which you find useful.
Yeah.
As well. So
we could video us doing squats.
Oh my god, we should do that.
That'd be brilliant, because I'll do it wrong and be like, please don't put that up.
Also, please ignore my cat, who decides to come in and out and is now running around yowling. So
it's got cold feet.
I know, exactly. It's cold. It's cold at the moment. So yeah, we will work out something to do that's ridiculous. He's just gone crazy.
Real life problems.
Exactly. Yeah. Cat's going mad. Anyway, I think that's probably enough.
You've probably had enough.
We've both had a difficult day, so this has been like the first sort of like
calm down, which is why we're like talking so much. I think it's been quite pent in.
Yeah, it's been quite frustrating. You know, I've had, a lot of fighting to do, and a lot of sort of like slightly thinking, what can be done. Have you got a good suggestion about how to grade women next to men wherein it's fair? Write in, let me know.
Yeah, I'd like to have a sofa delivered.
And yeah, exactly, a bright orange sofa.
It's immense.
I know. It was worth the wait.
Yeah.
Indeed. Anyway, until next week, high five on the internet.
Yes, we're going to do this now. No, don't fist me. I didn't mean that. Oh, God.
Well, I can fist you. Excellent.
Oh, God.
Thanks for listening, but before you go, please spread the word about the podcast. Write us a review on iTunes, and we want your feedback. Go to womensfitnesspodcast.com or email womensfitnesspodcast@gmail.com. You can support us financially on Patreon, and also you can follow us. You can find Kelly Bakewell PT on Facebook and Instagram as @KellyBakewellPT, and you can find Izzy, that's me, on Instagram and Twitter as @Izzy_Lawrence, that is ISZI_LAWRENCE. Music by Boothby Grapho, available on bandcamp.com. We'll see you next week. High five on the internet.